the DMing workshop. I have with me Eric from DMing workshop. Roll already. I have with me, and I gotta turn Eric way down so that I can hear myself. And we have Rory also from Roll already. So say hi, guys.
Hey, gang.
Good afternoon.
If anybody is listening on the chat or watching on the chat, if you can let us know if you don't hear anybody or if things are strange, just let us know. If you can't hear me, Eric or Rory. But I think I've got everything set up correctly, so we'll see. All right. Good times, good times. So today's workshop is a little different. Usually we talk about things you can do as a DM if you have a free account. But today I thought I'd take a step into the what do you do if you've got a pro account and some of the cool stuff that you can do there. So, and then Eric, if you, I don't know if you had anything prepared today or not, but I was hoping you might just talk generally about getting going as a GM and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some stuff more in the line of Adventures League, but I could get general.
I think talking about how to do it in Adventures League is a terrific idea. So we'll do that. Is a good idea. I'm gonna take 30 seconds though to kick my cat out of the room because as soon as I start talking, he likes to come over and say hi. So, which is great. He's a very loving and wonderful cat. There he is.
Playing licensed music the whole time.
Yeah, there he is. But yeah, he needs to go in the other room. So I'll be right back.
And while she's gone, I'll go ahead and take this opportunity to remind everybody that this Saturday we are having a Masters Fight event. It is not AL sanctioned, but it's just a thing our group does with Roll already. If you're interested, the sign up is on the forums. We're looking for a few more tier 2 characters. So if you add a tier 2 and you're nothing to do Saturday night, come and join us.
Awesome. I assume that was your game announcement.
It was.
Was that for the arena or for just a general?
Yeah, I just figured I'd plug myself real quick since you.
No, I appreciate it. That was a perfect opportunity for a commercial break. All right, so let's talk about some of the cool stuff that I've been using in Roll already, or in Roll20. So one of them, as a paid user, pro user, you have API scripts available. So I'm going to show you where to find those. Eric and Rory, you're in the game, so I don't know if you're also watching the Twitch or anything, but this part you'll see on the Twitch stream if you pop over to there. So if you're looking at your game details page, which you can see, you can get to this from just your games page. You just click through and you see your game details. I know a lot of people will just launch straight off of the toolbar. I do that a lot too. But the game details page has a lot of really useful stuff, including if you want to say that you are playing 5th edition D&D, you put it right there. Why is that useful? Well, if you're not playing 5th edition D&D with a D&D character sheet, if you're maybe playing something that has a custom character sheet or something that doesn't even use a character sheet, the putting things in this little box and saying what game, what system you're playing, or if you're playing other, it tells Roll20 that people are playing that game, and eventually, there might be more support for it. So, the other thing is I use the Next Game Will Be scheduler a lot. So, and the main purpose for that is telling the looking for players, looking for LFG search when the next game is, but it also lets the other players know when there might be a game coming up. So, so those are a couple little things. The game add-ons, you can add content that you have purchased. Sometimes there's content in the marketplace that is sold as an add-on pack. So like Rakma is the Tomb of Foes introductory adventure, and that's available if you've purchased Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes. And you can add it to the game, and if you add it to the game, then it'll show up once it's added. It'll show up in here as like pages, and you can see them now. Like it pops up a couple pages for the adventure, which is kind of cool. But then let's take a look at the game settings. So in the game settings, we have oh great, you can hear fine, awesome. In the game settings, we have you can allow public access to a game, so you can allow anybody to view the game if you want. You can add a game background image. There's just a couple of them, but like if you're playing a sci-fi game, you could add a little Matrix background, or you can make it all magic-y. It's just kind of a little something nice. There is an option to allow players to import their own characters, which I'm going to talk about. Actually, I should talk about it right now. The character vault lets you export and import characters from Roll20 games, and the way it works is under Tools. You have this space where you have exported or imported characters, or imported or exported characters. So I'm a pro user, which means that I can always any user can always pull their own character out of a game, so they can always import from any game that they're in. So like I have this game, and I can control all of these characters because I'm the GM of this game. But let's see here, Chinkies. I don't have any available characters. That's because I don't have permission to edit any characters in that game. Another one, I think this one, yeah. So this one I had 2 PCs in this one, so I can import that character. And then they show up here. Their Telcoon shows up. I might have a little bit of information about the character, and then I can now import it. And we're doing the DM workshop with pro features, or export it to a game like this. Now, because I am a pro user, I can export to any game where the GM has set the allow import their own characters, or any game that I own. If this is set to no, then I wouldn't be able to do that if I were like just a player in that game. So I'll set it to yes. This is really important if you're doing Adventures League. In my opinion, one of the benefits in Adventures League is the portability of characters. And so as a GM doing Adventures League and doing Roll Already, you want to allow players to import their characters as much as possible. If I'm a free player, if I'm a free GM, then the only people who could do that would be ones that have a Plus or Pro account. But if I'm a Plus or Pro GM, I have a Plus or Pro subscription, and I allow them to import their own characters, it's all access. Any player would be allowed to import their own characters if they're in my game. So kind of a nice thing to do. I can share my compendium with my players if I want. As a pro user, I get 5 slots, and I can have up to 15 players in a game. As a free user, I would get 1 slot, I think it is, and the maximum I think is 5. So it's much more limited. Changing slots is pretty easy here if you have it shared with somebody, or shared with one of your other games, and you're like, oh, I just want to free up that game without having to go find it. It's really easy to exit out. And then you pick your character sheet. I think most of us are familiar with that. I always use the 5e by Roll20 sheet here, but there are other 5th edition character sheets available. You can see there's actually quite a bit of a list. and like the community ones are and the shape sheet are pretty popular as well. They are not, however, cross compatible. So I think Eric in Roll already, we're all using the 5e by Roll20 sheet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So and that's important because if you're using a different character sheet, then when and somebody imports their character from the character vault, some of their attributes might not match up. So it might be like, oh, all of my stats are blank, or I don't have any of my equipment, or something like that. So you want to be paying attention to how well it imports. And then each character sheet can have some default sheet settings available. These are set by the GM and they only apply to new characters in that come into the game. So, or that are created in the game. So you can set so that anytime I make a character, it's always going to be an NPC. I could set it up to say, new characters always prompt to use the character mancer, or I could say no, it'll never prompt you. It'll just give you a blank sheet, and you have to go into the settings for the sheet to launch it. You can say always roll advantage, never whisper rolls. I like to always roll damage and crit at the same time. It just saves a click. And then there's some other, like the global modifier fields. I like having those up. Add the character name to templates. It's kind of handy, but not required. And here the bar values are available as well. So like your default for that first bubble, the green one on top, is hit points, right? And I'm going to turn on ammo tracking. Now, this is something that you really only enable if you're using the companion API script, something that is only available for pro users, for pro GMs. So you turn that on. All right, so we'll save that. Always save your changes if you like what you're doing. And now I go back over to my page, to my game. Those changes aren't in effect until I reload. So I'm going to reload. And I'm going to ask Eric and Rory to reload. And now, like, if I create a new character, you'll see it's prompting for the character man, so I'll say no. And you'll see that some of those options that I had, like the global modifiers, are automatically shown, the global skill modifiers. If I go to roll something, which I would need to have an attack to roll. Let me add one. Nope, that's not an attack. There's an attack. Attack. And when I roll it, it automatically rolls the advantage and disadvantage and damage, right? So that's just kind of a straightforward setting it up. Now I mentioned that there's ammo tracking, right? Let me see here. So I don't know if you just saw that, but I rolled with my attack. I had set up that it's going to use ammunition, the ammo resource over here, which I have given that the name ammo. And when I rolled the attack, it automatically decreased the amount of ammo I have by 1. So how did I do that? The magic of API scripts. So over here in the game settings, you'll see in the drop down there is an option for API scripts. Let's go over there. So you can see I've added a bunch of API scripts, and one of them is the 5th edition OGL by Roll20 Companion. Now this is a bunch of API commands that were written by a staff member, and they do a whole lot of things. And one of them is ammo tracking, which you saw enabled in the game settings. Some of them are things like 5e help. That gives a list of commands. So let's go take a look. 5e help. And it tells me I got 5e status, ammo tracking on, off, or quiet, auto NPC token on or off, death save tracking on, off, or quiet. So I'm going to do death save tracking on. Now if I roll a death save, let's try that out. I failed my death save and it automatically gave me a dot in the death save failures. If I want to do a long rest.
Sorry, I just want to make sure you said automatically because I really
sure
like.
Did. I sure did.
I'm a big fan.
Okay, and for some reason, long rest isn't taking. Cool. Long rest isn't working. We'll use spell tracking. Will turn on. Okay. And I'm going to go and grab a spell. Give it to this character. There's my spell. Came in as an attack. I'm going to roll it. Oh, that's a cantrip. Sorry. If I want it to actually be tracking. There we go. Animal friendship. I'm going to cast it. Oh, I need some spell slots. Let's see here. Give it 2 spell slots. Still didn't take it. Great. Guess I'm going to have to be a wizard. Hold on. All right. Now I'm a wizard and I've got spell slots. There we go. And we'll say I've got them all remaining. And I'm going to cast Animal Friendship at level 1, and it automatically reduced my slots remaining by 1. So these are some of those little things that you can do that sort of smooth things and make them go a little more smoothly. So this was one of the cool API scripts that that is available. These API scripts are available here as there's like a drop down. So you go to the script library and you can just, there's, a couple hundred in here that you can pick. Some of them are better than others. Some of them work better than others. And as the warning says, the API can delete your data. So be aware that this is, you're playing in a toolbox here that is very powerful. There's a few people who make a lot of API scripts, and you get to know their names as you install more and more of these and realize, oh, this person makes some very reliable API scripts. The Aaron is one of our most prolific API authors, and he's just phenomenal. And this particular one, Token Mod, is very, very popular. It's very powerful, and I personally don't even know how to use it completely, but it's kind of cool. Message of the day. If you saw here when I first logged in, it said, "Welcome to the game. This message brought to you by the Message of the Day API script," right? The Message of the Day it adds a note. And this note, like this text, pops up in the chat when you first join the game, when you first launch the game. Rory and Eric, did you see it when you logged in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it shows up. It shows up as a whisper to you, so that you're not it doesn't spam everybody when it shows up. So yeah, it's a fun one. Another one that I really like is, I'm going to take us over to the start screen. So over here, I have a couple of tokens, right? In fact, I'm going to assign some of these. So, oh yeah. That's another really cool API script that I have here. It's called the Welcome Package. This one's written by Steven Lindbergh, and it's great because what it does, when Eric joined, Eric, where is your character? When you joined this, did you get a character sheet in here? You didn't.
Let me see.
Huh. Well, it may have been
my.
off. Rory got one though. So when
This is new.
yeah, when Rory joined my game, he was assigned automatically had a character sheet created for him and automatically assigned to him. So you know this whole process of someone joins your game and they don't have a character sheet and they ask you for a character sheet and you have to go back in there and add the character sheet for them and it's kind of annoying. Well, here, he's already got one, right? And I guess is that
Well,
this one can
I
be
think
that
this
one's
is.
that one's Rivix. Yeah, that's your character.
Yeah.
I will assign this one over to Eric. So Eric, you can move this one around too.
I'm just super impressed with this new aspect of fade in and out on the tokens. Is this new?
The fade in and out.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, you can't see it from my screen. Whenever I get closer to the enemy token, it fades into view.
Oh, that's because
Yeah, transparency.
you have light set. So I gave you 30 foot of dim light. So the dim light fades pretty quickly, and it basically starts its fade from your point, like your token, all the way to 30 feet out.
That is nifty.
Yeah. So, Eric, I gave you control over this other token.
I still see the first page that was.
Try reloading.
Yeah, can you reload?
You.
I'm also going to reload because I'm having a weird...
There we go.
You see it now?
I do.
Okay, so this token I assigned to you. So you can move it around.
Let's move it around.
And this one, I think, is assigned to nobody, so it's just assigned to me. All right, so let me show you guys another really cool macro. API script. So, first of all, there is a macro to API. This is based on an API script that allows me to have one token carry another. So here I've got my wizard, and here I've got his familiar. I'm going to say, wizard, carry your familiar. Anywhere the wizard goes, the familiar token will go with it. Pretty cool. You can do that with horses. You can do it with animals. You can do it with the party rogue halfling that always rides on the Goliath's shoulders. Whatever you want.
Hey, Stephanie. Michael Balin said, just wanted to point out that most of what's in the journal is illegible to people watching this as.
Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that. I can
Zoom in your browser.
Yeah, I can do that. How about that? Is that a little more legible?
I can read that.
You can read it?
Don't know if everyone can.
Okay.
If you full screen it.
Yeah.
Oop. Okay. All right, we'll see if that helps. All right. Actually, I need to not be in full screen because I still have to go back and forth between the those tabs. All right, so as I was saying, I can move around. Now, here's another really cool one: the marching order. So I'm going to say, everyone line up into marching order. Oh, hang on. I need 1 token to be the leader. I'm going to make that Eric. So whoever the leader is has a little flag.
Look at me go.
Let's say make a new formation. We're going to start out as if we're going west. We are doomed. Okay. Eric, move your token around.
What? Aha.
His dream has finally come true.
Yep, you can move your token all over, and it will carry you around.
What?
Everybody will follow you. They'll just play follow the leader until they're done.
I thought I broke it at first, but it's not that. It's following the exact pattern that you do it in. That's cool.
That is Nipsey.
Okay.
Look at that. I mean, we knew about this the whole time.
Sure. Yeah, of course you did. Of course you did. All right. So I'm going to stop all the formation. Okay. So now everybody's free. You can move around. And also when Eric is doing that formation here, I'm going to have you be the leader again. Hold on. So say I've got him here and I've got that one over here. And I make a new formation here, and we'll say west again. Okay. Go ahead and move around, Eric. So you see it'll stay in the same relative position as well. But I can still move myself. So,
And then what happens if you interrupt it by moving yourself? Will it continue if I move?
Go ahead and move yourself. So I think when I move, it breaks it, and you can see that you no longer have the black flag leader icon anymore.
That's better, anyways, though.
Yeah. All right. So those are some totally cool API scripts that I like to use. They make things just a little bit smoother, a little bit snazzier. Token mod is one that, as I mentioned, is really, really cool and is kind of it's kind of above my pay grade in terms of how to use it, but it'll do things like it'll let you turn on lights and vision on and off quickly. So if you're like, oh, I've just cast dark vision, and then you can turn on, the dark vision settings, or I'm going to put out my torch, or I'm going to set my lantern to, only show a cone or something like that. Then you can set up little macros to do all of that.
Michael would like to know, are you able to do 2 abreast? So, like, I would suppose 2 wide.
Like this?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so I'll do. Oh wait, I need somebody to be the leader. So let me give you the icon here, like that. Formation. We'll say going north first. Don't move yet.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said go north. Sorry.
Gotta give me a second to set it up. All right.
I'll be good.
Liar.
Okay, now, ooh. Let me clear script state. Yes. Okay.
Ms. D asks, can you put a list of these somewhere?
Yeah. Where would be a good place for that? Do you guys want me to drop that in the forum post that I made for this event?
Sure. Wherever you drop it, if you want, I can drop it in chat after.
Okay. Why is that not working? Okay. No, it did. Yep.
Holy crap, you can, can't you?
Yep.
That is cool. I didn't think it was going. I had no faith.
All right, so that's another one of the API scripts that I really like. Yeah, I'll put a list of these. I'll put them in I'll put them in the roll already forum post, and I'll also drop them. I guess I'll put them in the notes on YouTube when this gets archived. And if there's notes on Twitch, I don't know how that works on Twitch, but I'll figure that out. Yes, we'll make this available somewhere somehow. All right. The next thing I want to show off is dynamic lighting. So this is another feature that is only available to pro users. And on this page, under the page settings, I showed this off a little bit in my last workshop, but I was showing off the preview for the new updated dynamic lighting. And this is actually how it works right now on live because we're on the live. So you have three options, and if they're all turned off, or they're all turned off. One of them is Fog of War. So Fog of War is basically okay. I enable it, and everything is kind of dark, and I'm actually gonna darken my opacity a bit, so it's really obvious, right? And then I go in here and I can reveal areas. Okay, very simple. You can only reveal in squares, so it's a little bit limited that way. But if you're a free player, free GM, this is the way that you can reveal areas in your dungeon. Very straightforward. And let me show really quick the player view on that. So as a player, what you would see is whatever those squares were. All right. So I'm going to reset the fog. Let's say now I've subscribed. I've got a Plus or Pro account. Cool. I want to have dynamic lighting. I'm going to set it so that dynamic lighting is enabled. I'm going to enforce line of sight. I'm only going to update when you drop so that you can't sneak ahead without me knowing. And I'm going to restrict movement. Cool. I'm going to set the darkness really dark. Awesome. Well, if you look right now, I can still see everything. And the reason I can see everything is because even though I set up dynamic lighting and the page settings, I did not set up the lines themselves. The way that you do that is you use the dynamic lighting layer and go into the drawing tools. You have two options. One is shapes and one is polygons. Use polygons for this. And I recommend strongly a bright color. And the reason you use a bright color is because you want to be able to see it when you are on this layer, but it will not show anywhere else. So I'm just going to go and follow my lines.
Yeah, I'll use red for the walls and green for the doors.
Yep.
Is typically what I go for.
And when I get to the end of a line, I right click and that sets that line. And you just saw the light just change right there. And then I can do the same here. And you'll notice that when I set these up, I try to set them towards the outside or the very middle of where the lines are on the map drawing. And the reason for that is when I'm a player and I'm walking around and I'm like looking around at stuff, if I can't see that I've hit like a wall, I'm wondering what is there? Like what is there supposed to be a door? What am I not seeing, right? Is there a window? But if the dynamic lighting lines show me that, if they're far enough over that I can see, oh no, that's the edge of a wall, then as a player, I'm a little bit less concerned. This particular map doesn't have a door, but let's pretend that it does. So I'm going to go back to my dynamic lighting, and go to my polygon, and as Rory said, use a different color for doors. You just put a door in, just like that. I can see that there's a little light coming through, so I'm going to scooch it over, or even just make it a little wider. Oh, that doesn't make it wider. And then I can be fairly confident that my players will not be able to see through it. All right, guys. Now try walking around. Oh, you hit the door. You hit the door. You hit the door because I had restrict movement turned on. So again, at this point, as a GM, I hop over to the dynamic lighting line. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take that out. And now you can see through that door because they bashed it open. Hooray! And now the heroes can keep going. And that's pretty much like how dynamic lighting works right now. It's pretty straightforward. If I want to have a light source, I can put that on the map layer if I want. So let me see if I can get a torch here. Oh, dang it. Sure. I'll use a burning log. Really big burning log. So I'm going to give this guy some light. We'll make him emit, say, 30 feet of light. We'll give him 10 of that is going to be... And you see, he doesn't have sight. He doesn't need sight. I don't need him to have sight. He's just going to burn away Meryl. In fact, we'll put him in the fireplace. And I'm going to make that a little smaller. Let's give him 20 and 5. There we go. Much, much smaller light. All right, so now this guy's over here. If I'm on the if I'm controlling a token, this guy's got light. Never mind. Do you have light? No, you just have sight.
It's not really.
It's a good example then. So this character's got sight, and for some reason my token is not showing off its light. Why isn't it? Oh, I didn't check. All players see light. There we go.
I would
Now
also say
you see the
that
light.
I would also say that if you don't want to use like a token like that, you can get like a transparent token. Just Google like transparent PNGs
Sure.
and give it a light emission. And you can just put that in a space you want light to.
Yep. I can also put it. I put it on the GM layer, but what I want to do is. Oh, I can't go to the dynamic light layer. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. I could also just make this really small too.
You might be able to put it on the map layer. No,
it is on the map layer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also,
But I mean, behind the other map.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah, you can hide it behind the map itself, and then it just looks like the fireplace is brightly lit. So yeah, there's some little tips and tricks there too. So yeah, those are like these are like the pro features that I really wanted to talk about today. Eric, hit me with some cool things for Adventures League. And oh yeah, sorry, Michael pointed out the update on drop doesn't get the cool effect of dynamic lighting updating when you move. Yes, I didn't even talk about Advanced Fog of War with this, which is that if you see, do I have Advanced Fog of War turned on? No, so I'm going to turn on Advanced Fog of War. All right, so these two are over in this room, right? Let's have them come in here. Oh, she doesn't have any light. That's why. But she does. So you see, she can still... Huh. Okay, I'm going to make sure that she can actually see. This may also be, yeah. So, that's a fun bug. It's not actually a bug, but the Advanced Fog of War reveal distance, if you don't have your light set a certain way, and I forgive me, I should know this because I logged this like a month ago.
Well,
But if in doubt, if you can't get Advanced Fog of War to work, you can set up like a particular reveal distance, and then it'll just say, oh, this this person, like when they're walking through an area, they always see like this, reveal this amount of Advanced Fog of War. Okay, let's see. Michael is asking API script that moves your token between the original location and the new one slowly. So like if you pick up a token and drop it in a different location, I think one of the API scripts can do that. I am not sure which one, um, and I'm not sure if it's one of the ones that I mentioned. Uh, the API scripts are pretty powerful, so yeah. Uh, Yeah, I like having the players move their tokens one square at a time. I- my my take on it generally though is like that's why I have a door. Like at a certain point, I'm like, okay, they're gonna see everything in this room, so it's okay if they just move around that room. When they get close enough to the trap or whatever, it'll trigger the trap. And by the way, there is an API script called "It's a Trap," and it is awesome. But anyway, it's a trap is basically you set up a token on the map layer, I think it is, or the GM layer, and when the players go over it, it triggers some sort of action, including usually a dice roll, like does the trap hit you? It's kind of cool. Anyway,
I like that.
yeah, it's neat. Okay, so Eric, I'm going to hand this over to you for a little bit to talk about Adventures League and the ways that you are using and abusing your pro account for AL.
So I hope everybody's doing well out there with what's going on. And thanks for coming and listening and talking. And a big part of the reason that Adventures League is catching a lot more traffic and interest is obviously because of the way things are going right now and not being able to meet in person and anything that would be impeding your regular game. It might be the reason that you're tuning in. With Adventures League, the reason I had gotten into it is because as much as I love playing with my close-knit of friends and playing in a homebrew environment and things like that, scheduling, I don't have to explain to this audience what it is, what the hardest part of playing D&D is, which is meeting at a particular date and time at a location, which is what you can tend to get around most of the difficulties with playing online. But when it came to Adventures League in particular, the sessions are typically shorter. Again, that depends on the group, but a lot of stores or online groups such as Roll Already, we tend to keep it around a 4-hour mark, which, some people either see that as a lot more than they're ready to be invested in, or a lot less than they're used to doing, somewhere around to 8 to 12 hours. We've all played. And I like that I can go and play this one character, such as how Stephanie had mentioned earlier, and have an adventure with a new group of people every time if I want to, or the same group. I enjoy little intricacies of Adventures League, like being able to trade items, and just you'll wind up seeing more. And I don't want to get too into it just because I know it can be overwhelming to get into D&D period. But it's really good because you can pick up, play, leave, and kind of go at the schedule of you and the game that you want to play in the future. It's really friendly in terms of startup too. If you were looking to start for your first time in playing, there is a million different scenarios that we'd be able to generate for you in terms of a character sheet or whatever you need. That's the whole idea. We want you to be able to come to an Adventures League game and feel like you're not missing something. And you won't be. You'll be learning as you play, and hopefully eventually you wind up running games of your own, and that's kind of how Roll Already works. When it comes to the other thing that I really like about Adventures League is how you'll have organized events, which again, a lot of the conventions or scenarios that would allow you to have in-person epics that you would normally have at some sort of convention hall, they're being converted online. But just real quick about epics, those are a lot of fun and unique because, to put it shortly, you're working as simultaneous groups at several tables to achieve an overarching goal that's being told over the course of 4 or 5 hours. A lot of fun. That was actually one of my first Adventure League experiences, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend or dissuade you from doing. Give it a shot. Come check out Roll already, and definitely get a little more situated with Roll20. There's plenty of time for many of us now. If you have any questions, you could definitely reach out to me, and I'll drop a couple resources as well as obviously our website link where you can start getting geared up for Adventures League.
Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me. I always like that you do these sessions, and I always walk away with something that I feel like I always should have known, but it's really cool to have it as
yeah. And I don't know, I'm sorry, I was actually typing out those API scripts, so I wasn't paying as close attention as I should because it's hard to multitask. Multitasking is one of the casualties of quarantine. But Eric, did you mention all the charity work that Roll already does?
I did not. So we have been doing Extra Life as a group for about 2-3 years, closer to 3 now. We have done fundraising for the 9/11 Foundation, for Child's Play, for Save the Children. We tend to keep a lot of our funds, anything that you see on our website when it comes to donations and things like that, gets filtered directly back into everything that you guys wind up interacting with. And then on top of it, really, I mean, we're not trying to hold on to any sort of income. We'll do fundraisers, especially with the epics. We have an epic lined up for 2020 that we haven't really rolled out for a variety of reasons, but there's been a lot of growth in membership and things like that. So trying to get a lot of new people the tools that they need before they get to that point. But we love doing the Extra Life events. It is so rewarding to be able to volunteer for those things, not only for the fundraising, and if it's okay with you, Stephanie, I'll post the Extra Life fundraising page as well.
Sure, absolutely.
But when things do blow over, volunteering your time at these locations is still one of my favorite experiences. And anytime I talk about it, I always feel like I'm gushing. Like I really do. And you feel like, people must think maybe you're not being genuine about it or whatever it is. All I can say is I'm overcome with how strongly I feel about it, because the people who volunteer there are some of the greatest people I have ever met through Adventures League, through D&D, not only that, but through the regular video game community. But then to see where the money goes. This was about 1.5 years ago that I did the Halloween event, but just to give you an idea of what they provide to these people, and these children and the parents, it has and I don't know, again, if this is still true, especially with recent times, but at regular operation, they had 1 nurse for every 2 patients, which is insane. That ratio doesn't exist almost anywhere. They have beautiful physical therapy solutions for them, like a gigantic pool that is astounding when you look at it. But one of the things that really struck home to me is they have an office there, and they can seat about, I think it was somewhere around 20 to 30 desks and people. And if parents don't want to have to leave their children's hospital to work and still want to be within reach of them to be able to get certain information, they provide that. They have a phone, a computer. If you can work remotely, you can work there with your kid. It's things like that we really like feeding back into. We're going to continue to feed back into. Right now, things are really crazy, so I bring it up a little bit less than I might. Maybe I should be talking about it more. We're going to see how things pan out, but thank you for Stephanie always bringing it up, always being a big help with that. And thank you to anybody who's ever donated time. Rory's always fundraised for us for Extra Life as well, and it's a great group. Come and play with us.
Yeah, Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a good group. We do a lot of charity stuff. A lot of those fundraisers. I mean, it's funny because the main thrust of the group is let's get together and play D&D and have fun, and that's awesome. And then we also at the same time have it really shows the charitable spirit of gamers. So
It's incredible.
yeah.
To and how many different walks of life that you get from D&D is a little wild. And then to hear the stories when people donate, they'll be like, my kid has been in X scenario, or people who I don't have any children. I have no real tie to, oh, my nephew, or this. Really, I don't have any stories like that. But you meet people who just feel like they want to help,
Yeah.
and you make some really great friends.
Yep. Also, sometimes you get a really good haircut, right, Eric?
I shaved my head one year, and what was it, $1,000? I think
it was. I think it was you. You shaved it if we donated 1,000, and didn't you raise like over $2,000 that year?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
wound up getting over 2,000 in cash and 2,500 in donations of board.
Like in kind donations. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great year. I would really like 2020 to go that way too.
Yep. So, anyway, so that's that could be our stream today. Let's go to Q&A and take questions from anybody who is still watching and hasn't completely fallen asleep yet. Any questions?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's necessarily a and somebody, yeah, we got time for a question. What do you call it? Do you feel, as somebody who works in a virtual industry, that, how do I say this? I felt like it was kind of fun for running Roll already, where we had such a huge influx recently because of how everything's going on right now. And it's like all the extroverts had to come inside and play with you. It's really funny. Like, instead of us having to be out on like whatever scenario outdoors, they're coming into us. I think it's great. I'm loving it.
So Eric, I am the extrovert. So it is. So true story. My about a month ago, I was like, "Gosh, I play online a lot. I really, really miss playing in an in-person group.
I hear you.
I am gonna form an in-person group," and I convinced my household members that I could take over the dining room table every other week for a couple hours, and I invited a group of people locally to me that are friends of mine to come and play, and I got about 4 or 5 people who said they could make it, and last Saturday was supposed to be our first session.
Oh no.
So we played online on Roll20. And it was great. Don't get me wrong. I had a good time. We're playing Dungeon World. It's going to be fun. But my extroverted little heart just broke a little bit more right then. So yeah, it's definitely it's yeah. Okay, so let's see. What do you recommend for keeping the lag down? Ooh, okay, this is a really good question. So, you will find that when you buy our modules on the marketplace, that they are set up with dynamic lighting turned on, right? But you will also see that advanced fog of war is turned off, because probably the biggest source of lag is when advanced fog of war is turned on. The other source of lag is if you have just too much in this journal. And that happens when, for example, if you pull in a whole bunch of stuff from the compendium, like, oh, I pulled in every single monster. Or if your paladin or cleric in the party says, I can memorize every spell, so I'm going to put all of them on my character sheet. Don't do that. It bogs down the game for everybody. Just tell your paladins, just just pick the spells that you're most likely to use. You don't use every single spell every single session. Let's face it, you're burning half your spells for smites anyway. Uh,
Oh,
I know this. I play a paladin. Don't call me out on this. But shots fired. That's right. So yeah, like the more stuff that you have in your game, the more of these that you have. There are a lot of plugins and scripts and things that will import things from other places, which I do not officially know anything about, because it's kind of against the terms of service, guys. Just saying, because it's not. It's like it's fine whatever you want to bring in, put in yourself, hand enter, whatever. But a lot of times those extensions and scripts, they will sometimes bog things down because what they're doing is bringing in more than is streamlined or efficient for Roll20's platform. So yeah, at a certain point, your map if your map is too big, it's just going to be hard to load. There are maps in oh gosh, Tales from the Awning Portal has a one of the adventures is the Lost Shrine of Tenochtitlan, and is one of my favorite modules. It's a beautiful little dungeon crawl, and it's enormous. The map is just too big, so it bogs down a lot. Like when I am running that game, it slows down a lot, and it isn't any easier for the fact that I put that map as a module, like as an add-in, into a Tomb of Annihilation game, which is already a big game.
oh,
So, oh, thank you. Right. So like that's like really big on top of really big. Same thing with Dungeon of the Mad Mage is another one of those really big modules that it's just at a certain point you're like this is gonna bog down. One of the things that I have been known to do, and another. Oh, I'm gonna go give you guys another pro feature. This is so cool. Uh, there is a tool down here under experimental features called Transmogrifier. So this is the game that I'm in right now. And these are all my other games. Let's say I'll just pull something from Rise of the Rune Lords. So this is a game these are only games that I've created, right? And it's going to load all of the pages. So say I'm only doing like the first level of or first part of an adventure, right? Um, I could just drag that one map and maybe, I don't know, let's pretend that that character is on that map. And then I've only added the one thing to my game. So I don't have to I don't have to pull every single thing, the whole thing. And so you could create the module from the module you bought on the marketplace. And to be honest, the ones on the marketplace are usually they're as streamlined as we can make them. Like we use best practices and constantly changing those to make it as efficient as we can. But let's say you bought it on the marketplace and you're like, God, it's just this bogging down, and it's bogging down because maybe I have a lot of players in my game, maybe I'm adding it to another game, or maybe it's just my particular hardware is a little bit subpar. Like if I were doing this on my old laptop, I would really want to scale it down to the bare minimum, just because my laptop has a limit to how much it can handle. Or my internet is a little lower, because what you don't understand is that when your game loads, like the whole thing is loaded into your web browser, so the whole thing is there, and so if your bandwidth is really limited or whatever, maybe you want to cut down the size. So what you might do is you might create your module, game from the module, and then just go into and make one game that's blank and just transmogrify over the things that you need from that other game. So just like drag them right in. Drag in the pages you need, drag in whatever characters. The characters will include all of the monsters that are in that game. And yeah, and there might be might be handouts that you might need, so you can just pull those in. And then instead of having, let's say it's 50 megabytes of content, now you've just got, a couple of kilobytes of content, a map, a page, a couple of things. So, yeah, like there it is, right? So that would be my advice for really, really trimming down your lag. As a pro user, the transmogrifier is available to you. As a anytime you've purchased stuff on the marketplace, you can use it as many times as you want in as many of your games as you want. One thing that I will say is, what was I going to say? Pro users don't have to worry as much about this, your disk quota, how much storage space you have. But if you're a plus user or a free user, maybe you are worried about it. Anything you buy on the marketplace does not count towards your disk quota. I don't know if everybody knows that, but all these premium assets that I have in here, anything under marketplace purchases or anything under the subscription sets, these are all, like, these do not count towards my storage at all. Same thing with audio. If I've got tracks that I'm pulling in from Battle Bards, they don't count towards my storage. For plus users don't have the transmogrifier, but they do have more storage than free users. Transmogrifier is going to be under the gear tab, the My Settings, all the way at the bottom where it says Experimental Features, and you just click it, and it gives you those options. You can also move things back and forth. So if I've got a page over here, I can drag it over into there. So if I were on that game setting things up, and I was like, oh, I'm setting it up over here, and then I'm just going to pull in, the one chapter over there. Michael says he's bought DDAL 901 to 904. Yeah, 902 doesn't include all the character handouts. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can transmogrify them in for into all those things. And yes, I know transmogrify is not available in macros and API. It's why it's available in experimental features, because it doesn't have everything yet. And it might be a while still. Hasn't had a whole lot of love, I guess you could say. But yeah. Please make all the DDALs from now until the end of time. I really hope we do. I'm excited that we're doing the season 9 ones, the official ones. I'm like, I saw that come up on the calendar, and I was like, oh, this is great. Are we gonna have more AL content? Yeah, Michael, it's been experimental since I pretty much got a pro account. So, Eric, were you saying something?
Nope.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions from you guys? We got more time. And yes, it is a great reason to go pro.
I think we got 2 games going on right now, actually.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
In the Discord?
Yeah,
that's cool. That's why this gets archived to the YouTube. Because I like doing this, but I like it even more when people can follow up and see them later and learn from them on their own time. So cool. Well, thank you. Well, Michael, you know where to reach me. We're friends on Facebook. You can reach out. Also, anytime anybody has a question about any of this, if you're a Roll Already member and you just want to drop it into Roll Already on the Facebook group, I'm sure you'll get an answer, or ask on the Discord server. Michael, for audio, since the file is limited to 20 megabytes, yeah, it can. The audio files, is there a way to loop them? Yes, there is. Great question. Let's see here. I'm gonna use this one just because it's here. So here, it's already looping. If I click that, it's going to loop. So if I play it. And I'm going to skip ahead to the end here. Okay, so give it another 6 seconds or so. Probably can't hear it. I just realized you may or may not be able to hear that. And then it just loops it right back up to the beginning. So that's looping. You can also turn off looping. There's also I'll stop that. If you do a playlist, then you can shuffle them. You can play them simultaneously, and you can play it once, and then it stops. And you can loop the whole playlist. So there's like some options as well. So glad that could help. Slow down with too much. It's partly because of memory use in the local browser. It's partly because of just your processor and stuff. Restarting the browser isn't going to help. It really isn't, because everything is already in your browser when you once you get started. So that's not gonna help. Reloading periodically when you have problems will help. Like sometimes your video and voice doesn't work and you have to reload to reconnect. That's why we have 2 different ways to reconnect the video and voice. Sometimes, like, you'll have some weird artifact or whatever, and you can't get rid of it without reloading. Reloading is sort of the I just want it to reset command, and it's not pretty, but it does work. So yeah, it's you don't need to if you've had the browser open for like 4 hours and you're like, oh gosh, it's running slow. It was probably running slow 4 hours ago too, and you just maybe didn't notice because it was the beginning of the game, and now you're partway through. Sometimes things can slow down if there's yes, there's more people than normal on the server. We've had, as mentioned, there's a lot of people joining the service every day, and we're grateful to provide this service to everybody right now, and it's taking a lot of time to make room. We just have to make room for everybody. So that we appreciate that everybody is really understanding about that need, because we want everybody to be able to play. So yeah. Yes, that's a good point, Michael. Keep the ones that are that maybe not in the shared compendium that the game you're going into might have. Although if you have bought the book, that's a good point about compendiums and shared compendiums. If you have bought the book, the contents of that book will always show up in your compendium when you open it in any game that you're in. So you're a player, you've bought Xanathars and Volos, and you go to a game where the GM has not bought any books, and you launch Charactermancer, you have options for Volos and Xanathars. Like those are always available to you. It's just the other people in the game don't have them. So yeah. Any other questions? Eric, any other tips and tricks you want to add in? Rory?
I say light shot is a lifesaver if you're, especially if it will, no matter what, if you're new to it or long time user of Roll20, um, you'll probably find a lot of use with light shot and making tokens and making uh, maps and fit better on the grids and things like that.
What is it? Light shot?
Light shot.
And what is that?
It's a screen capturing device. Well, a program, I should say. It allows you to capture a specific portion of your screen.
Its main call to fame is how lightweight it is.
Mhm.
So you can do what you can with any screen grab software, which I'm sure like a lot of people get used to it with working in an office scenario and things like that. This is just a screen grab, and not only can you copy the actual image, but you could also create a URL if you don't want to. If you don't have a means of sending an actual image, you could just send them a link as well.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for that resource. I use ShareX, but that's just me.
Which one?
ShareX.
Oh, okay.
It's a open source screen capture software.
I got sucked into Lightshot, and then when the group was only at like 10 people, I started sharing it like, hey, you should use it, and now
Yeah.
we're all
For making tokens, I use Token Tool for getting the like borders on them and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, this allows you to so you could take you know how a lot of times they'll squish down the token if you put it down into a square if it's like longer than it is wide. What you can use with Lightshot is make it into a square. You know, just capture the face of the picture or something like that, and then you can go and put the border around it without getting that squished sort of look to the token.
Cool. All right.
I actually have one other thing. So about the APIs earlier, one thing, if you wind up getting into APIs that somebody is making, even if it's just the one that you're constantly using, let the author know that you appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
They really, really, they're not asking you to say anything to them, but when you do, it means a lot.
It's true.
And they have donation cups and stuff like that I have tossed into many times.
Yep. You'll see that this one's from the Aaron. This is Token Mod, and you can contribute to his Patreon. He has his link there at the bottom. Welcome package is Steven, and he says, hey, if you want to show your support, buy something from the marketplace from me. So he that's how he wants to be supported. Other people, this one's actually doesn't have that one's from the Aaron. But other API authors might have TipT is another one that people use. So yeah, everybody's got a little, these API scripts, they're complicated. They're basically a full JavaScript program running in a sandbox, and then they put it out there. We don't pay them to write API scripts. They just do it because they love it, and because there's some need that they saw, and in hopes of that little side hustle, tip jar. So yeah, definitely show the love when you have it.
If I could take a quick moment to announce with the spectral coins, we did recently reset the leaderboard for the spectral coins, which is the thing that you can earn in the arenas. We used to also allow DMs to give them out, and that might happen again in the future. Last year,
this is something specific to the arena?
Specific to the group. I do. We might allow DMs to start handing them out in adventures. But it is separate from AL, so it is not AL sanctioned. This is something that's just with Roll already.
Yep. Okay.
So in the future, at the end of this season, we are going to be giving out some Steam cards and Hero Forge for the top placements in the Spectral Coin leaderboard. So bear that in mind, guys. And right now, it's just the arena that you can earn them in, but but in the future, the DMs might be able to start handing them out in some of their adventures as well. So
cool. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call it here. Thank you guys for being here. Eric and Rory, thank you so much for joining me and co-hosting today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks as always.
This
Thanks for
will
having
be archived on youtube.com/Stephanie_Bryant, which the link is available on the Twitch stream as well. I do these periodically. I'll be doing them a little bit more often right now during all this shutdown stuff, just because, hey, there's a lot more need. There's a lot of resources out there as well. If you haven't checked out, like Adam Coble has a Twitch stream that he does that is amazing for GM prep. This afternoon he did a full stream just prepping for a module that he's running tomorrow. So like, definitely, dig around, search around. You'll find some really good tutorials. The Roll20 Twitch stream and Roll20's YouTube have I think almost every week we put out tips and tricks for like it took me an hour and 15 minutes to show you guys a whole bunch of stuff, and Carlos will show you the same thing in 5 minutes because he's amazing. So there's some good stuff out there. So I mentioned Adam Coble, who's I think his Twitch stream is Skinny Ghost. He is the co-author of Dungeon World, and he is a streaming GM who's very good. And he, if you search for Coble, is I'll type it out. Adam Coble, Skinny Ghost is kind of his handle. And then the other one is Carlos does the Roll20 tips and tricks. So if you look at Roll20's Twitch stream or Roll20's YouTube channel, you'll find his, and that's going to be Roll20 app is I think their handle on most of those. So yeah. Any other parting comments?
Stay safe. Wash your hands, people.
Yep. Stay safe. Stay indoors or stay home and wash your hands, please. We want to be gaming with you for a long time to come.